January 26th is a bit of a somber anniversary because it marks the date in 1924 when the Bolshevik government renamed the former St. Petersburg Leningrad. And in that sense, it is emblematic of a turning away from the world and a rejection of the open societies. It's not, in that sense, as bleak an anniversary as March 12th, which is the date in 1918 that the Bolsheviks had moved the capital from St. Petersburg on the far western reaches of what had been the Russian Empire to Moscow, this kind of fortress city deep in the forest. And the renaming might be thought to continue a trend that the Tsars had undertaken when they, at the beginning of the First World War, changed the name from the rather Germanic-sounding St. Petersburg to the more patriotically Russian Petrograd. But in naming it Leningrad, in addition to this kind of creepy pseudo-religion where they take their dead former leader and embalm him under glass as though that were some substitute for genuine immortality, it does represent this rejection of the Western tradition that's been a permanent problem in Russian history. Now, on the bright side, it did create one of those marvelous jokes that seem to arise under systems of political oppression and for which I think the Russians have a particular genius. And the story goes like this. After the Second World War, there were all kinds of displaced people and the authorities are trying to sort out where they should live. And one slightly baffled old man comes before the authorities and they say to him, okay, sir, where were you born? And the old man says, I was born in St. Petersburg. And they say, where did you live before the Bolshevik Revolution? He says, I lived in Petrograd. Okay, where did you live before the Great Patriotic War? And he says, I lived in Leningrad. And they say, okay, where would you like to live now? And he says, St. Petersburg? But the sad thing about this joke is that in 1991, with the fall of communism and of the Soviet Union, the city was renamed St. Petersburg. But this did not herald a genuine openness to the West, a genuine embrace of the open society and of our way of doing things. Under Vladimir Putin, in very many significant ways, it is still the old Soviet Union, and Petrograd, or St. Petersburg, really is still Leningrad. There's a marvelous book, by the way, by Theodor von Lawitz called The World Revolution of Westernization, where he writes about the devastating impact the open societies with their terrifying dynamism and chaos have on the rest of the world, and all the kinds of ways in which people have tried to fight off Western culture. But in order to fight off Western military power, you have to adopt a culture more like Western culture, which means you have to give in before you start the fight. It sounds funny, but it's quite a serious dilemma. And von Lauer says that Russia is the first nation ever to have this problem. Even Peter the Great, who built St. Petersburg as this city open to the West with this European name, built it with slave labor and only tried to imitate the West in order somehow to overtake it and one day reject it and crush it. A venture on which the Russian government has been embarked almost non-stop since the 17th century, with results perilous to the rest of the world and dismal for its own people. Again, I do not know how many viewers we may have in Russia, but if any Russians are watching, I would appeal to you to consider the possibility that the only way for the people of Russia to enjoy prosperity and security is in fact to overcome their ambivalence about the West, stopping half in, half out, and embrace it. Make Leningrad back into Petrograd and back into St. Petersburg in reality and not just in name. If you're enjoying these features, please visit my website. That's www.johnrobson.ca. Make a monthly pledge to keep the video, the It Happened Todays, the Ask the Professors, all my features in production, and also keep watching and subscribing to The Rebel, where you get news and commentary you're just not going to get anywhere else.